Episode 11, New Fuel Petroleum 1. At the end of 1874, on a street in Mannheim, Germany, a gentleman was moving hurriedly, weaving through the crowd. He anxiously checked his watch repeatedly as he quickened his pace. His name was Gottlieb Daimler. He was rushing to keep an appointment with an old friend. However, he was running late, and he was almost running rather than walking. The street was crowded with people, and Daimler was skillfully maneuvering through them as if avoiding obstacles. Suddenly, he collided head-on with another gentleman, who was also walking briskly toward him. The impact was significant, and both men fell to the ground. Realizing his carelessness, Daimler got up and apologized to the other man. At the same time, the other gentleman also apologized in the same manner. Surprised by the unexpected reaction, both men looked at each other for a moment. Normally, one of them would have scowled in annoyance or rebuked the other for not watching where he was going. However, instead of blaming each other, both men acknowledged their mistake and apologized. Since they both reacted in the same way, they found each other a bit strange and exchanged awkward glances. In fact, the other gentleman was also in a hurry, walking quickly for an urgent matter. He was Benz. He was rushing home to continue his research due to his tight schedule. In reality, Gottlieb Daimler and Benz never met during their lifetimes. They lived about 100 kilometers apart, both dedicated to automobile development. But they remained unaware of each other's existence. Had Benz, Daimler, and Maybach collaborated from the early stages, the history of automobiles might have taken a different course. When geniuses meet, the result is not just 1 + 1 is 2, but sometimes 10 or even 1,000. In this story, I wanted to create a fictional moment where they crossed paths at least once. Daimler and Benz exchanged a brief smile and were about to continue on their way. At that moment, a sudden explosion echoed from a building across the street. Instantly, everyone on the street turned in shock toward the building. Thick black smoke billowed out of the windows, and flames began to spread. The pedestrians murmured in confusion, caught in the chaos. A moment later, a man, his clothes scorched by the flames, staggered out of the building. With a terrified expression, he shouted for help. Hearing his cries, the surrounding people immediately reacted. Some helped the injured man to safety, while a few brave individuals rushed inside to rescue others. At the time, petroleum, gasoline was commonly used in households and businesses to remove stains from fabrics. But its high flammability often led to fires. Watching from across the street, Daimler and Benz reflected on the explosion, imprinting in their minds the powerful energy of petroleum. They began to envision how they could utilize this energy in their engine research. Before long, a fire truck arrived, and the commotion grew. At that moment, both men remembered their respective plans. Daimler and Benz exchanged a brief nod before going their separate ways. As Daimler walked, he continued pondering the potential of petroleum. He concluded that this powerful fuel was worth researching. Benz thought the same. He resolved to complete his gas engine first, then study petroleum. From that day on, both men continued their respective paths of innovation.